Hello everybody and welcome back to SC2VN. My name is Chaos Signature, and last time the shit hit the fan. And as a result, we now are being forced to prepare for a show match against Bolt, who was that asshole in the very beginning who basically humiliated the crap out of us. So, that being said, let's go ahead and prepare for the match, shall we? More than anything else, I'm frustrated by Mr. Kim's doubt. It's one thing for my friends and parents to misunderstand me, but Mr. Kim made an informed judgment that I'm not worth the trouble. I jam my fists into my pockets and exhale deeply. If I ever doubted that eSports was brutal, I don't any longer. Short as the walk is, I don't find my nerves calming as I settle into my pace. A pack of energy drinks might help me douse my angst, so I decided to cut a detour that'll take me past Gomard. I should probably pick up something for Reva, too. It'd be pretty classless to move to make her watching me grind out a ladder maze without offering anything in return. My older brother used to always make me watch him play games back when we were kids. This is different, though. She's not watching me for fun. She's watching to tell me how badly I suck. I brush past another customer on my way into Gomart and glance towards the register. Mr. Yan smiles in my direction, but then immediately walks into the store's back room. I don't waste time browsing and head straight for the refrigerators. By the time I'm done shopping, Mr. Yang comes out from the back room with a brown box in hand and makes his way back to the register. I set my bottles and cans down on the counter and offer the old man a nod. Hello, this is all for today. In a rush, are we? Not really, why? With word that I won't run off, Mr. Yan smiles wide and hoists the box up onto the counter, pushing aside my drinks in the process. I blink, dumbfounded. Before I can ask what he's doing, he clicks open a latch and reveals a wooden board on the underside of the box's lid. He flips it up and sets the box between us in a place where a customer might expect to have their groceries rung up. A cloth sack rests beside the game board, the contents of which clack out against one another and on the counter. He pulls an object out of the bag and shows it to me. Have you ever played Go? Go, huh? It's a board game that's played mostly in Asia, held in a scene similar to chess. Without meaning to, I asked the first question on my mind. Is this because I told you about my pro gaming career? Let's just say I wouldn't be showing it to you if you didn't. We'll go over the rules and play around. Just one, and my win will be satisfied. Alright. This is strange, but if I want to keep shopping at Gomart... Turning down Mr. Yan will make our future interactions uncomfortable. Better for one extremely awkward game of Go than an infinite amount of semi-awkward trips to the convenience store. Mr. Yan pours the contents of the bag into a pair of wooden cups set beside the board. On closer inspection, they'd appear worn and scratched up. The board itself isn't in great condition either. The corners are chipped and the lacquer is long faded. Even though I've never played, I'm familiar with the premise of Go. Mr. Yan explains the basic rules thoroughly either way. The main objective is to control and capture space by surrounding your opponent's pieces. It's not unlike StarCraft in that sense, only there's no advantage in quick fingers. Even if I'm aware of the basics, I don't have the faintest clue about the game's strategy. What is it supposed to accomplish? Once Mr. Yan has finished explaining the rules, he motions toward my stones. Block takes the first move. You may begin whenever you're ready. Okay, for the record, I have no idea what I'm doing here. That's alright, just play on instinct. It's hard to hide the confusion I'm feeling, but I agree and shuffle a handful of black stones in my direction anyway. If the point of Go is to control space, it seems like a good idea to form some sort of basic structure that I can play off of later. But not for 5 turns into the game, Mr. Yan begins placing his pieces dangerously closer to mine. When I look up from the board, he answers me only with a smile. Soon he begins capturing my stones with relentless efficiency, never allowing me to challenge his position when I'm so focused on protecting my own. I fight back to defend my territory, but the clerk's plan is always a step ahead. I fix the board with an intense stare, certain that I can somehow unlock the intricacies of Go by demanding it of myself. When the board is halfway full, it becomes readily apparent that I'm going to lose. Mr. Yang glances up from the board with a raised eyebrow, smile ever present. Would you care to stop? I don't mean to keep you for too long. No, it's fine, let's finish. After turning down the chance to concede, it feels appropriate that I'd somehow stage an amazing comeback, but the beatdown only continues. Towards the end of the match, Mr. Yan manages to capture more than half my stones in a single move. My displeasure makes itself apparent with a groan. I delivered my last few turns to the board hard enough to echo a clack throughout the store. Mr. Yan scratches his chin casually, scanning the carnage he's wrought upon my pieces. I don't see any possible moves. I pass. And I pass too. That means the game is over, right? That is correct. I release the breath I've been holding in, relieved. I'm so glad to live in an era where video games exist. The old man replaces his ghost set in the bag and box and clears the counter of our diversion. Yet instead of reaching for my drinks to scan, he sets his eyes on me. You play to avoid losing. I feel a frown form on my face. Why exactly am I getting a lesson on an Eastern board game from a cashier? I don't say anything, so he continues. Specifically, you play to avoid the pain of a loss. It's clear to see when you have no learned habits or memorized strategies. There's nothing inherently wrong in playing that way, but you should be aware of the fact. I'm a firm believer that games showcase personality in its purest form. Was this whole thing just an excuse to share some wisdom you couldn't think of any other way to bring up? I said that with more disrespect than I should have. Nevertheless, Mr. Yan's slight smile doesn't falter. Perhaps. Or perhaps I'm just looking for a conversation. You didn't quit when I gave you the chance, that's good. But you can only go so far without playing for the win. StarCraft isn't so different from Go. I know that because life isn't so different from Go. Strive to win, Mach, not to not lose. I don't understand. Try to. It's an important lesson. A serious glint flickers across Mr. Yan's face for a fraction of a second. When it's gone, he looks no different than before. There's no one else that moves those drinks off the shelf like you. I'm incentivized to have you succeed and stick around, you see. He lets out a laugh, one that continues only until I smile politely in response. When he's done, Mr. Yan rings up my drinks and hurries them into a bag. Right, off you go. I won't ask you to play again with me, unless you'd like to. Alright. I lower my head into a bow. Not the type reserved for venerable elder, but at least one to show that I'm thankful. The door rings when I hurry through it, leaving Mr. Yan to endure the sickly linoleum of his store alone. In a roundabout way, I think Mr. Yan's little diversion might actually help. It's nice to know that he cares enough about me to offer advice, even if it's just because I shop at his store. Whether or not that business about Go and not losing is true remains to be seen. Is an aversion to losing really that ingrained in my DNA? Go Mart, huh? Alright, Mr. Yan, I'll admit that's pretty clever. So it was done on purpose. It seems much darker outside than it was when I came into the store. I reached to check the time on. Shit! I have half a dozen missed calls from Reva. Did that Go match seriously take more than an hour? An urgent need to get back to my apartment replaces my thoughts of Mr. Yan and board games. The music changed to something very ominous. I weave through pedestrians as best I can while simultaneously texting an apology to Reva. Darn it. My feet carry me as fast as they can. If Reva got tired of waiting in front of my door and left, I'm screwed. I pant my way up to my apartment stairs and pause in the hallway to find that she isn't there. Frustrated, I sigh and force open my door. I'm dead. I'm so dead. Why didn't I keep track of the time? Why now? Why when so much is on the line? As I rack my brain for an excuse I can offer Jet, I look up to find that my apartment is already occupied. You are late, Gendo Hikaru. Shinji, get in the robot. She rises from her seat on my bed and points at the computer. Ladder. How? How are you in my room? The door was not locked. I let myself in when you failed to answer my calls. You just came in? Yes. My breathing calms as my panic subsides. I forgot to lock my door, huh? I guess this is better than showing up to find my computer missing. Right, okay. Sorry, I got caught up with some old guy here. With a rustle, I reach into the bag I'm carrying and hand a drink to Reva. Caught up? Reva takes my offering without so much as looking at it. Whether or not she's actually going to drink it, I've done my due diligence as a host. It's hard to explain. You do not need to explain your relationship with an old man if you'd rather not. Even though I'm pretty sure it's a joke, Reva doesn't smile to show it. I offer my nervous laugh and crawl into my computer chair, trying to move on from the topic of my tardiness. So, right, ladder. Is there something you think I need to practice? You won't want to match against Protoss players only. Quit the match if your opponent's a Terran or a Zerg. Wait, but my ranking? With a few keystrokes, I display my proudly earned Grandmaster badge, accompanied by a rank in the double digits. If I leave 2/3 of my game tonight, I'm going to lose a bunch of ladder points. Are your ladder points really that important? Absolutely. Well, without a word, Reva takes the mouse from me and logs out of StarCraft 2. Her fingers dance across the keyboard, and a second later we're logged into her barcode account. The Grandmaster badge accompanying Reva's anonymous username is ranked even higher than mine. Play on this one then. I do not care about ladder rank, and neither should you. I scratch behind my head and have the sense to look embarrassed. She's right, it's pretty dumb for me to worry about ladder rank at a time like this. With a nod and a click, I search for my first match of the night. It takes a handful of games before I'm finally matched up against a Protoss. He's got one of those weird names with a random capitalization. Reva sits just over my shoulder from the edge of my bed, eyes fast on the monitor. Your APM is low. I wince and respond with a flurry of the necessary keystrokes. I've never cracked 300 APM even when I'm focused on doing so. A minute or two passes without comment, though it's hard to tell whether or not that means she thinks I'm playing well. Your engineering bays are late. Are they? They are, damn it! I whip my mouse hard, box a pair of SCVs, and slam down the two delayed structures. I check his army composition with a scan and decide that I'm ready to challenge him. Delayed upgrades or no, I managed to keep a close enough eye on my opponent's tech that I have a massive swell of Vikings by the time his Colossus comes into play. His army gets caught in an awkward position when he tries to establish his third base, allowing me to power forward into his base. It's a win I normally celebrate with a self-assured smile. But with Reva over my shoulder, I'm forced to feign humility in my victory. I turn towards her and motion towards the screen. Well, what do you think? She adjusts her glasses and pursed her lips, taking a long moment to decide on her response. He was bad, but you capitalized on his mistakes, so I have no major complaint. A good player won't let you obtain free information. Use your scans wisely. I used them pretty well, didn't I? Scouting is one of the things I'm best at. Not particularly, and you should always aim to be even better. I grumble and turn to queue up another game. Yet another thing to focus on, I guess. I had thought that Reva's low-key attitude might have made her a little bit lenient with my mistakes, but she's not all that different from Jet, minus how she delivers her criticism. My next match is on the largest map in the current ladder pool. I'll have a pretty easy time defending my expansions with the way that the map's choke points are constructed. Rather than poke and prod with Marines or go for early aggression, I throw down a quick third base in a far-flung corner of the map shortly I begin my natural expansion. Pulling off this kind of tactic is incredibly rewarding. If it goes unscouted, I'm practically guaranteed to win. Why are you doing that? Practice something useful. I shift my gaze aside to find Reva uncomfortably close to both me and the monitor. What if I decide to hide an expansion against Bolt? Are you going to risk the team on a coin flip? Cancel it and aim for a long game. Reva offers the advice too firm to be called a suggestion, and I find myself moving my mouse to do as instructed. This gaffe is going to set me back a far bit. I gear up for a drawn-out match by focusing on my upgrades in basic defense. It's not long before my Protoss opponent and I have split the map in half and are jockeying for position. Build more defenses. You can afford a dozen planetary fortresses. Is that really necessary? Mach, your opponent is Protoss. Protoss players will stop at nothing to cheat an honest Terran out of an earned win. Funny, I typically imagine balanced whiners as loud and obnoxious in real life. I wonder if she quit playing random out of guilt. Still, I oblige her and cram as many static defense structures. Oh, jeez, excuse me. Still, I oblige her and cram as many static defense structures as I can into a vital choke point. There is an observer over your army. I squint to find that she's right. Damn, how did I not catch that earlier? With the scan, I pick off the Protoss scout and reposition my units. It takes a few minutes to adjust my army composition to one that better suits the extreme late game, but I'm soon ready to clash with my opponent. At this point, StarCraft becomes less about strategy and more about patience. It's important to know when to stalk and when to pounce. I'm going to have to let y'all go for the day. Thank you all for very, very much for watching. I am Chaos Signature, and this is SC2VN. I will be playing more of this. I think we're nearing the end, so there should be no more than 5 or 6 more parts, I imagine. So either way, thank you all for watching again. Like or dislike, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. And I will see y'all next time.